Hi there, everyone. Welcome to today's free online training. I'm so glad that you're able to join me today. It's my pleasure to share the material I've been putting together over the last several days for you. I've just been hearing a lot of people, of course, who are maybe stressed or at least curious about what they might be able to do given the current, crazy climate that we're in, economic and health-wise, especially if you might be losing income, if you might be wondering, well, how can I pivot my business? Wanting to be agile and resilient for the future, wherever things might go when it comes to your brand and business. So I'm definitely going to share with you some key strategies and tips today that you can apply. So happy to see a bunch of familiar names in the chat coming in and in the participants list. That's always fun to see. I'm going to go ahead and now that I've said hi and you've seen me, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I do have some slides here. I might pop in and out of the slides a little bit, but the slides will help with visuals and everything. And I'm happy to send these slides to you, and if you don't want to worry about taking, please feel free to definitely take notes and stuff. That's a good idea, but also just keep in mind that I will be sending you the slides as like a PDF or something. So you don't have to worry about writing every single thing down in the slides. Okay, so this is 5 steps to quickly create new income streams and fortify your business against economic downturn. By the end of this, you're definitely you're gonna know how to add income streams quickly to your business. And of course, the more income streams, the more diversified your income streams are, that's going to help you against any market shifts that might come, let alone a huge one like what we're experiencing right now. So that's my goal for you as we go through the material today. This is for you if you want to generate income even during this health and economic crisis. I'm going to be showing you exactly what one of my clients did. So this is stuff that is working right now during this coronavirus pandemic. If you want to replace income that you lost due to coronavirus, it's exactly what she did too, the case study I'll be sharing with you. If you want to strengthen your business against economic downturn, which we just mentioned a little briefly, and if you want to break free from trading your time for money, because what I'm going to show you how to do is create a source of income that doesn't require that one-on-one exchange of hours for dollars in the same way. So I'm going to show you how to get there with your product suite, your offer suite. So this is great if you're a coach or a consultant, a speaker, an author, a professor, some kind of other expert service provider. This will help you add additional income streams to your business model, which is great at a time like this. So you're going to learn how to identify exactly what your market wants to buy from you. That's shifted a lot lately, but I'm going to teach you how to check in with that and identify the hidden gems that are there. Number 2, I'm going to show you how to launch a profitable offer in as little as 3 weeks. I'm going to show you how to do it for free. I'm going to show you how to do it without any complicated tech or having to set up fancy or complicated funnels. This is very low risk. This is fast. This is simple. This is get something to market quickly, because I know, first of all, you don't have time and energy and resources to waste on something that's, just to find out weeks down the road that it's not going to work. And also, I know that you might be eager to get something out there and start bringing some new income in as well. So that's why I'm sharing a very stripped down process that can happen in as little as 3 weeks. It depends on how much time and bandwidth and resources you have to put into it. But I've used this in as little as 3 weeks. I've seen clients, the case study today I'll be sharing with you. This is the first time that she's launched these kinds of online offerings, and she did it in under 3 weeks. In fact, she's launched like 3 of them in the past 3 weeks. And then also you're going to learn how you can launch a course in the current economic climate and why now is the perfect time. And actually, that last one is pretty key, because I'm sure a lot of you are wondering. I've definitely had my clients asking me and people coming to me and saying, Jason, is it okay to market right now? Is it okay to sell something right now? And the brief answer is yes. I'm going to go into that a little bit more. And I'm going to show you how to make that so that that's something that you can do and make money and serve others and not, be seen as profiteering, taking advantage of the situation. I'm sure none of you want that to happen, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you a free gift at the end. This is going to summarize or go into a little more detail of some of the stuff that we've talked here, but it's also a summary of there's some stuff in this presentation that's not in this, but this is a guide, a framework that is my framework for designing an online course. And a lot of the principles that we're talking about today are in there as well, as along with some other interesting stuff. And it's actually made as a worksheet for you to fill out. So I'm going to tell you how you can get that at the end of this call, so you can take that and be working with it after, just to start taking action on the things we're talking about here today. Okay, so just quickly want to point out, the things I'm going to be teaching you here are based on proven principles. I've been making online courses since 2004. In fact, here's a snapshot of I went to the Wayback Machine, which is a site that catalogs the internet, and found this screenshot of my site in July 19th, 2004, where I'm giving away a free excerpt from my brand new Renegade Marketing Seminar System for real estate entrepreneurs. And that was the first course that I made and started selling online. But at the same time, I'm bringing in what's working now. Like I said, I'm gonna share with you a case study of a client who has been using this stuff successfully in the last 3 weeks and has managed to replace a lot of income that she lost very, very quickly. So that brings me to the case study. This is a client who lost 40% of her income and then was able to replace it in just 3 weeks. And in fact, even more than that. So I want you to meet Alexandra Beller. She lost 3 sources of income in just 24 hours when coronavirus hit the US. I remember her telling me, she was texting me what was going on, and over a 24-hour period, she got calls. She does choreography, she does teaching, she teaches at Princeton, dance and movement. She works in theater. So she's got, she's a gig economy knowledge worker like many of us, I'm sure on this call are, right? And stuff just started dropping because she works in shows that require, them to sell shows and people to show up. That wasn't possible anymore. She was used to teaching her classes in person. She had to cancel a big week-long seminar that she had coming up. All of her college courses were going online, right? So this happened to all of us, where things were shifting very rapidly, disappearing very quickly, and we were having to scramble and figure out how are we going to keep up on what the responsibilities we have that have just shifted, and also hopefully replace some of what has now just evaporated in the current climate. And so she was able to replace it within 3 weeks using the steps that we're going to talk about here today. And I specifically like this case study for a number of reasons. I mean, it's recent and it took place during this time, but also, this is someone, often I know maybe you attend these webinars, you take these courses, and all the examples are like other business to business examples. And it feels like, oh, well, that's just, so much easier to sell, or, and this will work whether you're B2B or B2C or whatever the case is. But I like that this is an example where it's somebody who traditionally wouldn't be teaching online, but was able to, again, this is like the first time she's launched these kinds of things online. So so this is great for anybody who maybe hasn't launched an online course, or who gets sick of just hearing B2B examples that don't feel like they quite apply to what you are doing. So let's go ahead and start with the 5 steps that I want to go through here today. Step 1. And I'm just going to make sure, let me really quickly pause, and I'm just going to bring up the participants list so I can see that. And I have another screen over here. I'm not sure if you guys are able to see me. I think it shows a little square video of me up at the same time. I just want to make sure that I have the chat and stuff that I can in the Q&A. Okay, so that way we can, if you're saying anything, I can check in every once in a while. Of course, I want to move through material pretty quickly, but I will try to check in now and again to kind of see if there's anything that's popped up. Okay, so with that, we're going to dive now into the 5 steps. So step number 1 begins as you hopefully would in anything when it comes to being an entrepreneur or a coach or a consultant or anyone trying to make money selling something online or offline, and that is you have to identify a pressing and unfulfilled need. I want to talk about some specific things that are a little bit different here maybe than what you've done before. So in this case, Alexandra, what she started noticing, because of course, like many people, they're going to Facebook, like, what are people saying, or other social media channels? What are people saying? What are people doing? Everyone's trying to exchange information and resources and talk about it and just get some normalization and camaraderie in this crazy circumstances that have come up in whatever industry you're in. And she started noticing a few things. First of all, she started hearing a lot of artists, dancers, performing artists who are used to being in the studio, being on the stage, being in person, and now they were really frustrated with the isolation from the people they worked with. They're, some of them living on their own, a lack of inspiration, and now they've just stopped being able to make and create their art and express it. Second of all, she noticed a lot of teachers that were worried about teaching online. She's an adjunct professor at Princeton, and so like many others, she was also having to very quickly figure out how to teach something like dance. online. And she noticed a lot of other teachers were worried about teaching in this landscape as well. And then finally, she noticed a lot of practitioners, movement and dance and other kinds of practitioners like that, who wanted to use this quarantine time because, you know, they had more time on their hands, they weren't commuting and some of the other things. They wanted to use it to brush up on their fundamentals and hone their craft and be ready for as things started going back to hopefully normal, whatever the new normal is going to be. So these are things she started picking up by just listening and paying attention, especially on social media. Some of this happened in conversation. Some of it was from, she has a couple mentees, a couple mentoring clients and coaching clients as well. So she was just taking this information in for a week or two and really focusing on, okay, well, what has changed in my marketplace? And I just want to point that out that, you know, for all of us, I want you to start asking yourself the question, well, what does your market need now? Markets are always shifting, but in a very huge way and across the board, every single industry, every single type of person all over the world needs changed immensely and very quickly. I mean, practically overnight. What our priorities were, what we were focused on, what was, you know, where we were going to put our time and energy and resources. We had to scramble again to figure out new ways of doing things. So everyone's shifted, everyone's needs have shifted in your industry. And there are now pressing needs that didn't exist, or at least didn't exist in the same way before things kind of hit the fan, so to speak, right? And they're going to continue to shift, and they're going to continue to be some very pressing needs. A lot of people right now looking for guidance, looking for tips, looking for the best resources, the best way to go about things. They want to know what to expect. And this means that they're out there looking for good information. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed by all the chatter that's out there. So you want to tune in and figure out what those things are for your industry. So here's some tips for you. Of course, you can post to social media. First of all, you can just pay attention to social media. But second of all, you can go ahead and post to social media and ask some really good questions. And the thing to do here that I want to point out is this isn't just what's your biggest question about X, or a like, hey, what do you think if I were to do a course on, you know, A, B, and C? But really, you just want to tune into people's experiences. What are they trying to do right now? What are they struggling to do? What are the challenges they're running into? What are they trying that may or may not be working? What are maybe some of the misunderstandings or myths or pitfalls that they're running into right now, because this is an unprecedented time? So this is what you want to be listening for and asking about. And you can do this in a series of posts to your social media. You can go to existing online groups. It's another thing that Alexandra did. You can survey your list if you have it. You can survey your network, either by posting to social media, by going out to your email list if you have one, by going, or just even sending it to, making a list of people. It's like, I want to check in with these people in my industry, these past clients, these current clients, people who I think would have the kind of insights about what's going on and what people are struggling with. You can offer free consultations. Now, this is a really powerful one. And I'm not saying that you should just, you know, go out there and say, hey, I'm open for free consultations now. I'm doing as many as I can, you know, sign up here. But something that I'll often do in order to collect information and really see what people are struggling with is I'll just put together a short form, and you can use Google Forms, which is free, for instance. And I'll just say, I'll email my list or post to social media, and I'll say, you know, I'm giving away two, you know, I want to help some people out right now. I'm giving away 2 free consulting sessions. This is specifically for, and then I list the kind of person, you know, who might be struggling with this, or this. So I'm specific about who I want to talk to. And then I give, you know, I get the link into people's hands so they can fill that out if they want to apply for one of the 2 free spots. And the reason why I like this is there's a little bit of incentive for people to fill out the survey, but also they want to give good information because they're hoping then that you will decide to consult with them about what it is that they're struggling with. So you end up collecting a lot of really good information. And if you want to, you know, you can reach out to other people. This is also going to be a great hot list later that we're going to talk about, but you're going to get some good feedback this way. And then you go ahead and you do your couple of free consultations. I often ask if I can record those calls and use them as content. You know, they're getting something free, but then I like to see what else I could potentially get out of it. And that's worked really well then to put on my podcast, for instance, or send out to my list after. And then another tip here is just have one-on-one conversations. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. Obviously, you're not going to, you know, meet in a coffee shop right now, but phone call, Zoom call, whatever the case may be, getting on the phone and actually chatting with people. This goes deeper than what a survey can give you. And again, asking them about their experience and really diving into that. You're going to get a lot of incredible insights by just talking to people right now. So those are 5 tips about how to keep your ear to the ground and start finding these needs. I want to just point out a couple of mistakes to avoid here. Number one, you need to avoid making assumptions. You don't want to just start making conclusions about stuff without doing enough research, without talking to, ideally you'd go and talk to, 3 to 5 people if you could, or at least, go find a dozen different people who are really expressing stuff on social media and giving you some depth of information. The other thing is you want to be careful about relying too much on your own, what you would prefer, or your guesses based on what things were like before the pandemic, because again, everything shifted. And so to go back to Alexandra's story, right, before the pandemic, she wouldn't have even thought about, some of the stuff that started coming up online. She wouldn't even thought about teaching some of these movement and dance fundamentals through an online class. She always taught them in a studio in person here in New York City. But because she was tuning in and because of the changes, she noticed there are a lot of practitioners out there who, even online, would love to have that kind of resource right now. So she took note of that, and she had to kind of lay aside some of the givens from, even a few weeks prior to that. So that's the number 2, is not letting go of givens is a mistake. You want to open up here to new possibilities. You might be finding completely different ways of serving your market that you haven't done before, but that still falls within your wheelhouse, or something that you do within your own business that might not be like that specific thing that you're an expert on, but because you're really good at doing it in your own business, and other people might be struggling with it now, so just opening up a little bit to other possibilities is important. That brings us here to step number 2, which is create a valuable and timely resource. So what do I mean by that? Well, in Alexandra's case, she actually came up with a couple of them. First of all, for those artists that were feeling isolated and uninspired and just struggling because of being stuck at home, she put together what's called a score, which is basically like, here's some inspiration of a project you can do and then share, an artistic project you can do. And then she also wrote this amazing essay about artistic isolation during a crisis. And it just offered, a lot of, empathy of what was going on, a lot of insights and inspiration and guidance. So she put that together. And I'll talk about, she got really amazing results out of putting that together, and I'll share that here in just a bit. She also pulled together a collection of resources for teaching online. She just paid attention to, because everybody was posting stuff, there's this, and you can do that, and have you considered this? And she had her own Princeton enclave of professors that were talking to each other about what they were doing. And so she just started taking note of all of these things and collecting them together. And she put together a nice PDF and started sending it to friends who were wondering, what should I be doing right now? And they found that really valuable. And we'll talk more about how to share these things in the future. So in just a moment. So she had 2 different resources that she put together. Here's some ideas and tips for you when it comes to creating. And it's really important what I said here about, sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. Okay, a valuable and timely resource. So valuable meaning relevant to a pain that they're experiencing right now, a problem they're having right now during the pandemic, during the coronavirus, probably at the very least somehow affected by the current landscape. So timely, relating to now, valuable, relevant, and that's what she pulled together. So just going and grabbing something that you used as a lead magnet or a white paper before is not going to have the same impact as something that's, you might be able to repurpose stuff from before, but you need to create something that's specifically for now. So solve a specific problem. She did that by making the score for artists. Offer inspiration and hope. She did that in her essay, a really great essay about artistic isolation. Offer insight and guidance about the future. She also talked about that in her essay. Everyone's wondering what's going to happen, and not that you have to say, well, for sure this is what's going to happen, but you can certainly offer your opinion or insights, or even gather insights from other people about what the future of your industry is like. Which brings me to number 4, and this one's really powerful. Collect and curate the latest thinking and ideas in your industry. There's, I'm sure, no lack of blog posts and articles and things coming out about in your industry about what does this mean now for our industry. So go and spend a day reading through that stuff. Find the best stuff, collate it, bring it together. People are overwhelmed. They don't have time, or they don't know where the best stuff is. And if you make yourself that resource, it doesn't even have to be all your ideas. I have a client who's doing this and putting together a book. I'll share that example here in just a moment. In fact, here are these examples. Number one, corporate disruption. So here is a client who is bringing together a collection of ideas and guidance about how the pandemic is going to change how we work, how employees work within organizations, how hiring and firing, you know, all kinds of things, right? And she's pulling this. This is for businesses, you know, who are trying to adapt to the current landscape and also just prepare for what's coming in the future. And she's simply going out. Well, she has a lot of expertise on disruption as well, but she's also going out and pulling together as much of the best information that she can find so she can be a central resource for this stuff. Another example, I have another client who's used to doing workshops in person at companies on leadership and communication and things like that. They can't go and do those workshops anymore. So we've pivoted. Well, thankfully, we were already working together to put out a digital course. So we're working on getting more sales of that and already had a successful launch. But they also put together a guide. I remember talking to them the day that everything really started going down here in the US, talking to them on the phone and saying, you need to create a guide today that applies the stuff you teach specifically to remote teams. Everyone's going to be working at home, at least anybody who can. And so they put together a guide with 7 specific things to be aware of when a team transitions to working in a virtual environment. Then another one of my clients works in the wedding industry. Of course, weddings are getting canceled left and right. So wedding cake makers, wedding planners, people who sell the flowers, all the stuff that's tied to that wedding industry. I'm sure there's a lot of panic going on. What are we going to do? What's it going to be like when things open up? All of our reservations are getting canceled. And then the moment it opens back up, everyone's going to want to book a place again. But what do we, you know, how is this going to shift things? So I said, similar thing. I said, go out and curate a collection of examples and tips based on how other vendors in the wedding industry are pivoting during this time. And so I just encouraged her to be a source of that information. So that's a really, really powerful tactic that you can use right now to make yourself a source of that kind of information. And it doesn't even have to all come from you as expertise. Okay, that brings us to step number 3. I'm trying to check in on the chat, but actually it's not showing me the chat right now. Let me look. Oh, here it is. Yep. Okay, looks like we're okay. So everyone doing okay, tuning in still, following along all right? Okay, so I'll go ahead and continue here. Step number 3, of course, now you want to share your resource and build a hot list. So why did I have you create a valuable resource? Well, for one, it shows that you're on top of what's going on right now and you're aware of what's going on right now. Like that's what a leader does, is brings together new information, new guidance, new hope, new insight into what's coming down the pipe, what should be done right now. So that's going to immediately position you as a resource, as a leader, as an expert, creating something new that's relevant to the context right now. The other thing that this does is it helps you build a hot list, which we're going to talk about here more in a second. And it gives you a reason to reach out to people, even people you haven't talked to for a while. Reach out to people in your own industry and say, you know, look, I've put this thing together because I've noticed a lot of people are struggling with this thing. So you're putting yourself in contact, starting conversations with this. And by putting yourself in contact with people, starting conversations, this is what's going to start bringing ideas and opportunities and potential clients and customers for your courses and things like that to the surface. So it's a very powerful tool. You can go out to approach podcasts and things like that to talk about your new resource. This is top of mind. All the media wants to talk about what's going on. So you're going to be a lot more likely to land media and podcast interviews and things like that. So you got to put that resource together and now share it. So what did Alexandra do? Alexandra shared her resources. She went to social media and posts and groups. So that score an essay for artists in isolation, she created a landing page. And I think I have a picture of it possibly here in a second. I'll show you. She created a landing page and she put it out there in several different groups, on her personal profile, on her business Facebook profile. And she said, if anybody's interested in this, comment. And of course, comments get traction and then it gets more play inside of the feed when people start commenting and saying, yes, please, I would love it. And she did it in a very, just empathetic and service type way. You know, she said, look, I hear a lot of people struggling with this. I really wanted to help out. I put this especially together for you. If this is what you're struggling with, this is a new thing. If you're interested, please let me know. Between all of the places that she posted on social media, she had 600 comments. 600 people commented to get a hold of that resource. Now I'm going to show you the landing page here in a second. She actually made it optional. She eventually sent people the landing page. You could immediately download it, no email required. But underneath it said, if you'd like more resources like this, go ahead and sign up. And she added about 150 or so people to her list. And it was optional to sign up for the list. So 600 people on a hot list that were interested in this, and 150 people that joined her list because of that resource that she put together, and just started getting out there everywhere, sending it to people. She shared it with her email list, and she shared it with colleagues that she thought would enjoy it. Just so, you know, again, a great way to connect with people and get it into their hands and just say, this is what I'm up to, this is what I'm thinking about, this is what I can help with, or I just want to be of service right now. So you're top of mind. And the more you're top of mind with your market, your colleagues, the better chances you're going to have of successfully pivoting and figuring out those next steps for your business and launching new income streams. Here's a landing page, just to give you an idea really quickly. Pretty simple, creating art in a crisis. Download the free PDF here. We didn't put a lot of copy on here because everyone was coming from a post where they kind of already saw what it was all about. And like I said, so about 25% of the people, the 600 people signed up for her email list. So here are some ideas and tips for you when it comes to sharing your valuable and timely resource. Of course, go and post it to social media, and just, you know, do it. And again, in a spirit of empathy and service, and just saying this is, and leadership, saying this is what I'm noticing, this is what I created. Go ahead and send it out to your network, get back in touch with people, send it to your email list by all means, and then enlist others to share it as well. Alexandra also ended up partnering with another organization that had a whole bunch of movement students and dancers and performing artists, and you know, was able to partner with them and also promoting some of the stuff that she was putting together. Another one of my clients, the client with the virtual team checklist or you know, PDF that we put together, they had some learning and development people contacting them. Like, people are looking for material, right? So these organizations that now have to teach online, these professors that now have to teach online, these companies that now have to support their workers online, they're looking for material to do that because they might not be prepared. They might not have the know-how and the expertise to do that. So enlisting other and partnering with others is an amazing way to get this out in front of other people. So just be creative and really pound the pavement here. But if you do it again with something really valuable, relevant, in the spirit of service and empathy, and of course you want to make sure, and that's what I talk about here in the mistakes to avoid, you want to make sure that you're collecting a hot list. So number one mistake is being too shy about it. So don't be shy about it. Believe in the resources or the resource that you've created. Go far and wide with it in the spirit of serving others. And then number two mistake would be not tracking the interest. Of course, you know, by asking for comments, she's able to see the people who commented, but then that also helped with the traction. But now she can go back and follow up with people if she wants, plus 150 new people on her list, plus colleagues that she's reached out to that and said, hey, can I, so like if you email colleagues directly, say, I have this new thing, would you be interested in it? So that those who say yes, you can note that. So whether it's a landing page collecting emails to a list for you, and if you need a free way to do that, if you don't have a list yet, MailChimp is a great way to go, or use a spreadsheet or whatever system just to log, here the people are saying yes and getting excited about this resource, because that's going to serve you well here shortly in the coming steps. Okay, that brings us up to step number 4, which is to craft a pilot offer. Now, this is where I want you to think differently than you probably have when it comes to creating an online course or, you know, some other online offer. And that is that, you know, so often people get, first of all, overwhelmed by the idea of launching an online offer, and that's because it feels like there's so many moving parts, and they gotta, you know, create the curriculum, and they gotta create audio and visual media assets, and they gotta put together some kind of platform like Teachable or a WordPress site to house and host everything, and they need video hosting, and then they gotta have the marketing emails, and oh, do I need a webinar to sell it, and so either people don't get around to it, or they try to do that and it just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed because it's, you know, there's just so many moving parts and they don't have, you know, they can only put so much bandwidth towards it. Or they put all this time and resource and energy and money into it, and when they launch it, they find out that they missed the boat. They got something wrong. They didn't do enough customer discovery, which was that step number 1 I talked about. So we've talked about, you know, finding that need, creating that highly valuable and relevant resource, and then sharing that with others. And, you know, it still surprises me how much people will go to launch something without doing enough talking to their marketplace. I want to show you a way to do this quickly, simply, low risk, low cost. Again, you can get this up and going in the next 3 weeks if you want to. You don't need any of the tech stuff. You don't need a fancy funnel. That's why I'm calling this a pilot offer. It's about speed. And especially at a time like this, when things are changing so quickly and a lot of people are looking for help, you want to be able to get things to market quickly. You want to get good at tuning into what the market. I did a podcast interview yesterday. And he said, if there's 2 strategies you can tell people that they need right now in order to thrive as they move forward, what are they? And I said, number 1, to know how to tune into your marketplace and figure out what they need now in the current climate. And number 2, learn how to get something and pilot something in the marketplace as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. That speed. Not only does that allow you to get cash in the door sooner, which I'm sure is a concern for a lot of people right now, it helps you to find out quickly whether or not you've got a winning idea on your hands. And if you've done your customer discovery, hopefully you've gotten pretty close with what you've decided to put out there. Let's go ahead and dive into this a little bit more. So Alexandra, she actually crafted 3 different offers that she's launched in the last 3 weeks. Number 1, she put together a series of movement classes and review of the fundamentals. So those people that were saying, yeah, I've got this time in quarantine, I really like to go back and brush up on these fundamentals. It's this thing called Bartenioff type of movement for dancers and artists and actors and, excuse me, get a drink of water, and people like that. And this is not, again, this is something she would not have thought of doing before because she always was teaching these things in studios, in person, classes that she was teaching these. She put this together and she promoted it, and she ended up getting, they only had 100 people because they were using Zoom, which has the 100-person limit. And they ended up having 150 people sign up for this class. And so that was a huge eye opener for her. Again, she's like, I never would have tried this. And I couldn't believe that many people. And so the people above 100, what they ended up doing is, saying, well, we're going to send you the recording. Everybody got the recording. So they let 100 people in live. And then they did the 50, they said, and actually she continues to sell that now, that class that she recorded as well. She's got a bundle of classes that can be sold. After that first class, they're saying, can we do more? Just to have that opportunity to move, at home and have someone guide them and teach them or review something, and that sense of community of seeing all these people there on Zoom who were doing it at the same time, that's exactly what people in her market needed right then. And she went from hearing that in social media and getting that up and promoted, and I believe it was like 7 to 10 days after she heard that on social media that she was conducting the first one of these. Now she's got a light set up. She has a friend who has some lighting things, and we found her a wireless microphone. But the first one, it was just her laptop on a chair next to a window, and it wasn't perfect, but people still got a lot out of it and loved it. So she was able to make a couple $1,000s very quickly off of that class, which more than replaced one of the things that she had canceled just a couple of weeks before that. Number 2, she frequently teaches classes on teaching. Pedagogy is teaching how to teach. So she teaches dancers and movers and artists how to teach in the studio. Well, she's used to teaching this, again, in person. And she's like, well, I'm gonna have to cancel it. It was coming up literally within a week or 2 of when everything hit. And she had to cancel it. But then we talked about it and I said, well, what if you brought it online? A lot of people, you see all these people who are worried about, how do I teach this kind of stuff online? You still have a lot of experience. You're an adjunct professor at Princeton. There are people that might sign up for this that normally wouldn't because they don't live in New York City, and now you would be taking it online. And so she went ahead and launched it online. And she ended up making more money than she would have with the thing that ended up getting canceled. And now she said, this is awesome. I'm going to teach it multiple times throughout the year this way online. And it's less time for me, less energy for me. And I could also make it digital if I want to. And then the next one that she's put together, which is happening this weekend, I believe, is a 2-day workshop for actors. This is a demographic that she wants to work with more. She does go into, theater and do a lot of choreography and things like that. And she wants to do, apply more of what she knows into the theater world, where she's been very well known in the dance world, but she wanted to go in. And so now she decided to go ahead and hold this 2-day workshop specifically for actors, and was able to sell a bunch of seats to that as well. So she's going to be able to serve a new demographic now that she's been wanting to get into too. So we're talking within, I mean, we're probably like 5, maybe, I'm trying to remember when everything started. We're maybe like 5 weeks into things really going nuts here, at least in the United States, and really, everywhere. But especially in the United States, about 5 weeks ago. And in those 5 weeks, she's already got all 3 of these launched and booked. Some of them are done, recorded. And this pedagogy one is in the middle of, she's doing it as a series of Zoom calls. I think it's a 4-week series of calls. This one is 2 days, 4 hours each day through Zoom. And this one was just an hour and 15 minutes. Each one of these was hour and 15 minutes through Zoom. Okay, so 5 parts. When it comes to crafting an offer, you need 5 parts. Here's what you need to know, okay? You don't need a really fancy, let's just keep it simple. 5 parts. This is all you need to know. Number 1, who is it for? Okay, who is the ideal person that the course or offer is that you have put together? Who is it for? Number 2, so this should be probably the same audience that you created the resource for, right? That you identified the need for. Number 2, what is the promise of the offer? What is it that they will get? What are the results that they're going to achieve? What transformation will they experience? What new possibilities will this offer open up or create for them? How will it make or save them time and money? These are some of the questions. If you can just answer some of these questions. So you identified a need, you've put this resource out there, but now there's going to be more depth and breadth. Some people will be able to take that resource and get some help out of it. But what about those who want guidance and to go deeper, or even, that might have just been a little piece of the puzzle that you put out there. So this is about, okay, well, if I were to really help them with that unfulfilled need, here are the things that they will achieve, that they will realize by working through, or by buying this course or this offer that I'm putting together. Third thing, what is the process? So how do you get them from A to Z, where they're at right now and where they want to be? And there's some gap in between. There's a gap, and that's where there are things they don't know. There are mistakes that they're making. There's resources they don't have, and that's what your job is, to fill in that gap. So just sit down and think, like, what are all the questions that people ask? What are all of the what are some of the steps that I need to guide them through, and try to break it into milestones, from A to Z. Try to break that into 4 to 6 milestones, because that's going to make it into easy modules for your course. And one way you can do this is, I just sit down sometimes and I just start writing on sticky notes and putting on the wall or the whiteboard, like all the things I can think of that I would need to cover or talk about, or questions people have, what they're struggling with. And then I just start organizing them into groups. You just want to have, like I said, 4 to 6 of those groups that are milestones along the way of getting to those promises, those outcomes that you have chosen for your offer. This is creating a basic outline then of what they will learn and accomplish as they go through the course with you. Then the next question to ask yourself is, well, what is the platform? How am I going to deliver this course? And this is where we're going to keep it very, very simple. And so you can go, again, fast, low cost, low risk, get cash in the door, get testimonials quickly, and create a new digital asset as fast as possible. So Zoom calls, just use Zoom or some other similar platform. I know some people are talking about how Zoom's not as secure, whatever. I'm using Zoom right now. I'm fine with it. If you want to use something else, that's fine. Google Hangouts is, I'm actually not even sure Google Hangouts still exists, but there are a lot of free options out there as well. So just video calls, a series of video calls. And basically those 4 to 6 milestones, each one of those is a call. Each one of those is a call. So like an hour call going over the material for one of those milestone clusters that you created as you put together that process. And then Google Drive. You don't need to sign up for Teachable. You don't need to sign up for any, Kajabi or any of these platforms or anything. I've sold $3,000 courses that were nothing more than a series of Zoom calls and a Google Drive folder that I shared with everybody. And that's where I put the recordings and the other materials that I made. And then I love using Google Docs to create templates and worksheets and other tools, because then it's very easy for people. I can share those and they can make a copy and fill them out for themselves, right? So this is a very simple and effective way to deliver a lot of value, get people to the outcomes that you put together for the course. And this is all free, or I guess at least near free. I guess if you need to get a professional Zoom, a lot of us might have that already. I think it's $15 a month for, so you can go longer than the 40 minutes or whatever the case might be. So That's my suggested platform. Very, very simple. You can record it just like I am right now here through Zoom. And the next, well, what is the price? What are you going to price it at? I just recommend something nice and easy, like between $100 and $500 for the first time. And just because it's the first time and it's a pilot course doesn't mean that you need to slash the price down. Because actually, if anything, it's going to be an advantage to be a part of your pilot course because they're going to be working more closely with you as you craft the course with their feedback actively over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So somewhere between, and that's just a guideline. I mean, look, like I said, I've sold courses in this way using this process that were $3,000 courses about podcast strategy. And it was a series of 8 calls. That came with some one-on-one calls with me and other things as well, just to be clear. But we're not making this, any fancier. We're keeping it very simple. They're getting access to the calls, they're getting access to the recordings, and whatever other tools and materials you're going to create to help guide them through that process. Offer some kind of payment plan so that it's easy for people, 2-month or 3-month payment plan. It can break it up, makes it easier for people to go ahead and commit, and can just, then you can know, hey, over the next 3 months, I've got these chunks of cash that are coming in for me. And you've just created a new income stream, at least for the immediate future, until you take this and turn it into an automated income stream after that. An optional, some people are like, okay, well, a lot of people are struggling right now, might not have the money. If you want to do sliding scale, sometimes I offer scholarships to my programs as well. And that's absolutely, I think, a very cool thing to do. Just be specific about who you're looking for and have an easy application process. And then decide, is it a free, are they getting it for free, half price, whatever the case may be. So, this is pretty easy. Who's it for? What is the promise? What is the process? What is the platform? And what is the price? You don't have to set anything up. We're going to talk about enrollment here in a second. And again, it's not going to be any like fancy funnels or anything like that either. A few tips here. Sell first, then create and deliver it. That's the big thing, okay? Of course, you need to know enough, again, about who's it for and what are they going to accomplish and what are they going to get by the end and what are they going to learn as an outline. That's all you need. They just need to know that stuff. You don't need to have all your slide decks put together. You don't need to have the entire curriculum or syllabus put together. I mean, I guess maybe like a syllabus type, an outline type syllabus, but the assets and the materials and all of that. Yeah, I've launched these courses, and then the week before the first call, I'm making the materials for the first call. The week before the second call, and then that way I get to create it after I've already sold it. And I know that people wanted it, right? And so that allows you, again, if for some reason it doesn't sell, okay, you can just dial it back, check in with the marketplace again, and experiment with something else, no problem. Number 2, remember just to keep this very simple. This is a pilot to test it out. This is about getting cash in the door quickly, getting testimonials by guiding people through that pilot, refining your curriculum as you take people through this first time, and creating those video recordings that then you can use. And afterwards, you can automate and scale it later. After that, you can take your pilot, you can, if you want, recreate it as new videos for digital course, or just take the Zoom calls and put those into something like Teachable that's very low cost, easy to set up, to have a little bit nicer platform to put things in. But that's after. You can make the automated funnel and the scalable digital version after. You want to test it first for all these reasons that I've outlined right here in number 2. Step number 5 is to enroll your students. Now, of course, now you want people to buy this thing. So how do we do that in the simplest, easiest way? Well, Alexandra enrolled students by posting to social media. She made an event on social media. She made Facebook posts on social media. She also promoted it to her email list. And she doesn't even have like a huge email list, and some of these people are people that are used to coming to her dance performances, not necessarily, so it's only actually one segment of the list that is, even targeted towards the specific things. But still, she promoted it to that list because nonetheless, these are people who knew her and trusted her. And if they were interested, they could sign up. And then she also, like I said, with one of these, she partnered with another organization and had them promote it as well, because that organization was looking for ways to serve, it was an educational organization, and they needed new material. They needed a way to, and they needed new ways to make money because a lot of their classes had disappeared as well. So this ended up actually working well, not only for Alexandra, but also for this other organization who, one of those offers she put together, she partnered with. And so that's another thing you can do, is like go find a company or an educational organization or any kind of organization, a nonprofit who needs that kind of content right now. And you can potentially, if you don't have a big list of your own, you can always partner with them because, like I said, a lot of people are looking for online material because everything's online right now and for the foreseeable future. All right, here's some tips then about enrolling. Oh, I already did that. Or maybe I have that in the wrong place. I think I accidentally duplicated a slide. Yeah, I accidentally duplicated a slide. Okay, so let me just go back here. So some tips here that, because I think I might be missing the slide that was supposed to go there. The tips here are, you don't need to create like a fancy sales page. I've sold these things, again, I talked about that $3,000 course. All I did is I created a Google Doc. You know, it might've been a few pages, but I just said, here's who this is for. Here's why I created it. Here's what you're gonna get out of it. Here's what you're gonna learn. Here's the outcomes you're gonna get. Here's what the price is. And here's how it's gonna work. You know, so it's just the details for people to go through. And then what I did is, at this point, you wanna go back to your hot list. And it might be the new people that sign up for your email list. It might be people that, you know, figuratively raised their hand on social media and said, yes, please send me that resource. It might've been people that you've contacted recently to send your valuable resource to. You start following up. People you talked one-on-one with, people that maybe you did those 1 or 2 free consulting calls if you use that strategy. So earlier you were building up all of this interest and basically figuring out, okay, who has this problem right now that I can solve. And that's where, you know, you're going to send some emails to them. You can send them to this Google Doc. Keep it simple using PayPal. You know, PayPal to do your processing if you don't have anything else, and that's fine. I do a lot of PayPal for my courses right now for signing up. So a Google Doc with the details, a PayPal link. You know, if you need to, hop on the phone with people for 15 minutes to just, you know, answer any questions that they have. It doesn't need to be a high pressure sales call or anything like that. If you've got a hot list of people who've already expressed interest in that thing, then there's a decent likelihood that all you need is just a good, you know, that one slice of them to sign up for your pilot. You know, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 15. Alexandra was fortunate with that movement one to have over 100 people sign up. It was at a much lower price point, but it still made her a lot of money back that she had lost, right? So you can kind of decide, you know, how many people you need to reach out to and you want to book in depending on price and things like that. So keep it really simple is the big thing. And then you can automate it later. So now, after all of this, you know, whereas 5 weeks ago, she was, you know, worried, nervous, losing income very rapidly. She lost about 40% of her income in 24 hours through 3 or 4 phone calls. Now she's got more sources of income than she actually had before the pandemic hit. She has new income streams that are going to endure past the pandemic. And she has ways to make money without it taking her time because she's created all these digital assets and she's planned out these courses that she can now sell as digital courses, or she can decide if she wants, she can still maybe teach that pedagogy class as a group class, but it's kind of like a Lyft or an Uber share, right? If you've only got 1 passenger, you're only making money off the 1 passenger. If you're driving an Uber share, you're making money off of all 4 passengers or however many are in there at the same time. So with less time and stress, now she can teach her pedagogy class over a series of weeks. And oh wow, there's some big thunder outside here in New York City. That was interesting. So, you know, she's got all these assets that she's created and she can now scale these out to be, and again, these are things she wouldn't have thought of. So, you know, so many times it's when we get laid off, it's when, you know, things really get tough. It's when the unexpected happens that we're forced to be creative. And in fact, there is research that tells us that constraints make us more creative and bring us to those solutions that we might not have otherwise seen. And so that's what I want to really encourage you to do by using the stuff that we've talked about here today. And you truly can end up in a place that you just couldn't have foreseen, and that can even be better off than, you know, before things shifted and changed. I know change is not easy. I know a lot of us are stressed out about health, maybe about economics, maybe you've got, you know, kids at home now that are not in school, and so you're worrying about, you know, helping them with school. Things are nuts right now. It's really wild, right? But amidst all that is also ways to serve, opportunities, ways to take your brand and business to another place, a place you might not have even have seen before. And that's one of the big takeaways here. So the 5 steps, I just want to quickly review these 5 steps. identify a need, create a timely and valuable resource. Share that resource and use that to build interest and a hot list. Then craft a very simple pilot offer, and then go out and use that hot list to now enroll students in your pilot offer. Sell it now, and then create it as you go over as a series of Zoom calls over the coming weeks. And I've done this many times. I've had clients do this many times. It's effective to launch a course this way. Even if we weren't in a pandemic, this is how I teach a client who's launching a course for the first time, or even a course that's totally brand new. We do a pilot first because things just end up better in the end. We get it to market fast and we test it. We get testimonials. We bring cash in the door. We, refine our messaging. And so that then when we make the polished digital course, we're on point. We're on target. We're not making, spending all this time to find out we made a lot of mistakes or that we had a dud on our hands, right? So this is an effective way to go about this. Okay, that's it for the training material here. We're about 50 minutes into the call. We still have Q&A coming, and I want to tell you about that free gift. In fact, I meant to tell you at the beginning here, because you're probably expecting this. I do want to share with you an opportunity that you can work with me to go through this process in the coming weeks and launch something in as little as 4 weeks and get a new income stream up and going. And then I'm happy to stick around and answer whatever questions come up, even if it's past the top of the hour. Okay, so here's what I want you to just to be thinking about with all of this. I know that was a lot of information. It might be feeling a little bit, it's like, okay, now I have at least a process and some steps. Maybe you're feeling a little daunted, wondering if you can do it or not. I can assure you, you can. Again, it was used in a market where everything is done in person, and she brought things online and made it work not only once but 3 times, right? This process absolutely works. Okay, so I just want just as a way to kind of take a breath and think about, as you move forward with this process, just think about, okay, having that new income that maybe you need to replace income that you've lost, and putting yourself in a position of not having to trade, if you're an author or I'm sorry, a coach or a consultant or a speaker or a facilitator, and you're used to making all of your income from trading your time for money, you're going to now create very easily assets that you can sell digitally and are untethered from your time. And so that makes them more scalable. You're going to diversify, going to elevate your authority, because the moment you put a course like this together, it's like writing a book or any of those other things. It immediately positions you as an expert, and you've shown that you've thought a process through. Number 4, think about how you're going to be strengthening your business against economic downturn. And again, this is about having diversified income streams, particularly for this climate right now, where a big spotlight is on online education and working, because everyone's, a lot of people are stuck at home, they're staying at home. A lot more people are opening up to new possibilities as far as delivering and taking courses online. Again, a lot of needs out there, a lot of leadership that's being that's needed as well. So there's definitely an opportunity, and this doesn't need to be a dive in and be opportunistic thing. This is a finding where you can serve best, and then some people are going to be happy to work with you more, as long as you nail it when it comes to those needs that they have right now, given the current climate. So not only are you diversifying your income, but you're learning the skill of, like I said, those 2 strategies: customer discovery and getting something to market quickly. If you can get really good at those 2 things, your business is going to be very, very agile, and that is going to strengthen you, because of whatever the climate is, you're going to know how to pivot quickly. And even if you have to pivot, bam, now I'm in this direction, and you got to do 2 or 3, experiment. If you know how to do those things, this is how successful businesses make it. And often when it is a downturn like this and things get hard, on the other end, when you survive, those who do survive come back even stronger than before. So this is going to help you be in that position. And of course, my hope is that it'll help you replace some lost income as well. So I just want you thinking and imagining forward, even if it takes 8 weeks to implement the things that we talked about here today. those are all, that's going to be a good position to be at wherever things are at, with coronavirus and stuff like that in 4 to 8 weeks. We don't know, but you're going to be in a good place by implementing these steps that we've talked about here, today. Okay, so if you think about that, and those are things, my hope is that the material today has given you a process, restructured some of how you think about crafting an offer, making it more simple, how you decide what offer to put out there, and hopefully, made it seem like you're closer to being able to make some new income off of an income stream than maybe you thought before. That was my goal for the training today. If you would like, because if you'd like to have help in, deeper help in each of these 5 steps, and all, I have worksheets and I have templates and I have scripts, scripts for surveys, scripts for what to post to social media, scripts for what to say if you get on the phone with people, talking about, more tools and worksheets for figuring out exactly what that free resource should be. I gave you one very simple formula for getting a pilot course out there, but there's, a few other options there. And I've got, again, templates. And so all of this stuff I've put together into an 8-week program that I call Launch Your Course. And this is a group coaching and workshop program or offer, where basically over an 8-week period, every week, and here's the cool thing, I very specifically, because in this course, I both teach you how to launch a successful pilot and then also how to turn it into an automated digital income stream moving forward. So you learn both of those things. But the really cool thing about this workshop is I run it in the exact way that I recommend you run your own pilot. So not only are you learning from the information, there's that meta level of you are participating in the very kind of thing that I recommend that you get to market quickly. Again, a series of Zoom calls, and I mean, mine will probably be on Teachable or something, just because I've taught this a few times. So I've taken it beyond Google Drive and things like that. But if you'll give me just a few minutes, and I'll come back in with the gift and Q&A. I just want to talk briefly. I just want to show you over here, and then I'm going to give you a link. The link to get more details about this is jasonvanorden.com/LYC. I know you might not be able to see that up there on the screen, so I put it down here as well. And right now, I have an early bird discount. This is the first time I'm offering this, is on this webinar here, and for the opportunity to enroll in this program. So for the next 48 hours, I've got an early bird, a pretty healthy early bird discount. You can save some money on that as well. I'm not going to read through this whole thing. I just wanted to point a few things out. All the again, the benefits are here. All the things that you probably are wondering, questions you might have. But exactly how it works, again, it's 8 weeks of Zoom calls, and then I usually end up adding some additional Q&As and things after that. So really, when all's said and done, you're getting support from me usually for about 90 days or 3 months. So, because I like, once we've gone through the process and you get something up, I like to give you a chance to get some further support afterwards, just to kind of like, debrief and figure out the next steps and stuff like that. So all that information is here as well. I've outlined exactly what each of the modules are. I'm not going to, spend all the time going through that, because I know you can read through that. Usually that's what gets done on these webinars, but it's taking these 5 steps, but really expanding them out, because there's some more depth we can go into, and in order to really get all of the nuances and make you, again, very good at customer discovery, getting something quickly to market. And then once you've got a winner, taking that and making an income stream. And that's how you're going to build out your business model, and take your income higher and higher, is by applying these principles. So this is a process I teach you that you can use over and over again when launching new offers, new online courses and online programs and things like that. So we cover everything from, making sure that I'm very big on making sure that what we launch for your business is going to be in alignment with your strengths, your vision, your values, your goals. I don't want you getting backed into a corner by your own success. We go into depth about how to come up with that perfect course idea by doing the surveys and the conversations and exactly what to do, exactly what to say. Then we're going to go into how to build out your own signature process. And when we're done with this isn't just a process that here's a curriculum for the course. The way we do this is like having your own 7 habits like Covey has, or Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. It becomes your branded thing, a thing that makes you, it's yours only. And it's now your thing that you can use in books and keynotes and different courses. You can slice and dice it in different ways. You can repurpose it for podcast interviews. When you have that signature process, that really takes things up another level as a thought leader. And so this is what we do in this third module there. We're going to talk about how to design the best experience and the best platform. I gave you one easy platform with Zoom and Google Drive and Google Docs today. I'll talk through some other options as well so that you know moving forward, you can piece together as you move forward with different offers, the one that's the best for you. This is a powerful one. We really dig in and figure out, you know, a lot of people are worried about selling their product and being salesy or using some of the manipulative tactics that are out there. But I find that if you really know how to get into the mind of the person and understand where they're at, that it gets a lot easier to sell and enroll people into your course. And so we spend a whole module just dialing in your messaging, and really for your entire business, not just for the one course. But this is going to make you so much clearer about messaging for your entire business, the content you make, what copy should be on your website, the things you should be talking about in your email list, what's going to get the attention of people in your market. And then I show you how to go ahead and do both a launch, like a live launch to get people into your course. And then we also go through how to build out promo sequences and funnels and things like that. So again, you can turn it into a digital asset in the future. And then the final thing is we talk about rapid content creation. When it does come time to make audios and videos and PDFs and kind of the nicer version of the course, I want you to be totally equipped to do that as well. And I'm going to teach you all the top methods. And you can see that, you know, every single one of these, I'm really big on having lots of checklists and cheat sheets and templates and tools and scripts. I want to make this as easy as possible. And this is all stuff that you can just like copy and paste and adjust to your own needs and take it and put into action right away. You look at exactly what you get here, 8 live calls. They're 60 to 90 minutes each, the trainings. Each one covers one of the modules. And then we're going to give you, you know, all the tools and things that come with it. Oh, I need to edit this. This has my, I'm sorry, my previous, somebody missed there. That's the start. That's not the start date for this time. We'll be starting actually right at the beginning of May. And I'm also going to find a different time. So that I'll update that information. You can see all the stuff that you get here. I've only got 30 spots because if it gets too big, it's going to be hard to, I want to be able to give everybody the kind of guidance and stuff that they need on the phone calls and answer all the questions and things like that. I've gotten really good at doing a group like this, but you know, beyond that, it would be too much. So I have to cap it. And then I think that's it. You know, you get to, you know, come down here and see just a summary. There's 2 different versions. So there's a VIP version where you get some one-on-one calls with me. You get to send worksheets and things to me to look over personally, and I give you feedback and send them back. So I'm looking over every step and seeing if anything got missed, if I have any ideas for you to take things up a level. You get 3 calls to use at any time. You get to email me at any time during the program with any questions, and I get back to you within a business day. That's the VIP version. Or if you just want to attend the workshop, all of the calls and get all the tools and templates, then you can just do that version right there. So the price right now with the early bird discount, instead of $2,500 for VIP, it's only $1,997 or 3 payments of $697. It's $997 for this version of the workshop right there, or $397 paid 3 times over the next 3 months. And there's some frequently asked questions down here if you'd like. And when it comes to, I mean, people pay between $5,000 and $25,000 for me to work one-on-one with them making their courses. But this is an opportunity to work closely with me. And because I'm helping a whole group, again, it's like the Uber share, the Lyft share ride share, is that, you know, I can charge much, much less, but still get you the same results because of the way I've crafted this program and my process and refined it over the last several years. And then of course, even, you know, 14, 15 years of experience of launching courses is informing that as well. So that's where, and again, the web address for that, let me go back over to my keynote, early bird discount. So that goes away. We're Tuesday right now. Yeah. So Thursday evening, you got 48 hours to get, and then the price, as you can see, the price then pops up to these higher prices. So you get to save a good $500 there by signing up before Thursday evening. If you have any questions about this or want to chat with me on the phone, that's fine. Happy to do that too. Just shoot me an email, jason@jasonvanorden.com. And again, early bird discount, you can go to jasonvanorden.com/LYC, which stands for Launch Your Course. And then as a thank you for coming in and attending this today, If you go to jasonvanorden.com/OCDC, which stands for Online Course Design Canvas, that will give you a PDF download that with some worksheet materials. And in fact, that's, yeah, it's a kind of a sneak peek at some of the, in fact, it is a sneak peek at some of the content that's inside of the launch your course. And it just kind of, you know, guides you through thinking through some of these steps and stuff like that. So definitely check that out. It's really valuable. I spent a lot of time on that. And it'll help you start putting this stuff into action. Okay, let's go ahead and see if there are any questions over here. Okay, see some people saying they're interested. Some people have to run to another call. No problem. Thank you so much for hopping on. I know we're a little bit past the hour here. I did want to try to keep it to 60 minutes. But again, I'm happy to stick around. If you want to either raise your hand, there's a raise your hand feature, or type into the chat or the question box. Over here in the Q&A, I see, will this be sent out as a recorded call? I would love to share this with a friend who I know would really use this information to her advantage. Sue, if you want to go ahead and email me, jason@jasonvanorden.com, I can get a recording to you that you can share with her. Uh-oh, OCDC is a 404 error. Make sure it's capitalized, I think. OCDC. I just tested this right before I went live. That is so weird. Jason Van Orden. I'm sorry about that. Well, I'm going to figure this out. Here, I'll type the. Yeah, I'm not, my forwarding thing looks like it's struggling for some reason. Okay, let me, I'm going to put into. You know what, here's what I'll do is, let's see if I can copy and paste this link in to all panelists and attendees. Okay, will this program help revive any existing course? Yes, absolutely, because the things, that's a great question. Thank you so much for that question. And here's why, is with the customer discovery that we're going to do and some of the things like going through my process for messaging, you're going to, you know, if it feels like it's having trouble selling, then the messaging stuff is going to help fix that, and everything I teach about launching and things like that. If it's, you know, if something's off with the offer, then everything that we're going to do, let's see, are you guys able to copy and paste that? I hope. Probably not, right? Oh yeah, you can. If you I think if you right click over that, you can copy and then paste that in. Okay, good. So yes, and you know, if the offer, something's wrong with the offer, then all of the customer discovery and research that we're going to do at the beginning is going to show us what's wrong with that offer, what needs to be changed or shifted. Is it something in the features? Is it something in the way it's delivered? Is it something in the promises of the course or something like that? If it's like, you know, or if you need a complete, so yeah, you're saying yes, value needs to be messaged better. Also thinking of adding live training with a hired instructor who has been through the course twice. Yes, amazing. Okay, so yeah, this module, are you guys still, yeah, you should be still seeing my screen. This module right here about the course experience. So this is where, yeah, we're going to go into a lot more depth than we did today. And so I'm going to share with you all the different, you know, there's everything from total digital course that people just buy while you're sleeping at 2 a.m., you know, and they're on the other side of the world, to stuff in between. And I'm a big proponent of having two different tiers. You can see with my course offer here, there's two different tiers, a VIP and a regular, right? And so I'm going to teach you, like, here's how you can structure that so that there's a lot of ways you can add a VIP level to a thing. And, you know, and it can even include some email access and one-on-one calls. And it's actually not, I'm going to show you why it doesn't have to take up a lot of your time. And yet you can boost sometimes by 20, 50, even, you know, 50%, sometimes even 2 or 3 times the amount you make off of a course just by adding that second upper tier. So we'll be talking through all of those options as well. And, let's see, looking at the rest of your question. Yeah, so a hired instructor, right, absolutely. So we can talk about then how to structure that and how to put it into, into the offer, the best way to have a platform for delivering that. That's all stuff that we'll talk about in module 4. And then, what are some of the other things that can go wrong? If you're not attracting the right people for the course and you feel like you keep getting people in the course that aren't the right ones, I'll show you how to fix the messaging for that. So a lot of the things, I mean, really any of the things that go wrong with course selling. If you're not enjoying teaching the course, by all means, if you're not enjoying teaching the course anymore, we're going to fix that for sure. I get that a lot with people who are feeling like, yeah, this just isn't doing it for me, but I don't know how or what to change. And so we figure it out and we do it. I need to check and see, you're supposed to have testimonials on this page, but if you look at, yeah, that's a big oversight. If you look on my homepage, though, there are a lot of testimonials of people who've worked with me there. And I'll add a couple testimonials of people who've specifically taken this course there too. Okay, Linda says, I'm in the fashion business as a design consultant, not sure how I pivot what I know into something people want, especially in this time when there's a low demand for this non-essential segment of the market. Well, and so I can totally understand that, Linda. And here's what I've found is that, again, this is about questioning those givens, and you don't need to have the answer to that yourself right now. If you go and start having some of those conversations with people and tuning in, something will blip up on the radar. And if you're just being a little bit more open, so you're a design consultant. So yeah, right now, people probably aren't like rushing to design new things and hire consultants for that. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't even know a ton about your industry, but just based on, how I've worked with people in the past, there's always like these things that we kind of overlook or that are like tangential to what we normally primarily do that still are hugely valuable to people. And here, I'll give you an example. This isn't the best example. I wish I had a better immediate example, but I have a colleague who, I mean, her business is helping small businesses grow. And she found that when she was talking and kind of, had her ear to the ground after a pandemic hit, an interesting thing, she noticed a lot of people on her list and in her community were mentioning maybe starting a podcast. And I think it's because they're like, well, I'm stuck at home. I want to at least create something that'll be valuable in the future, or like, get my name out there in a new way. So she decided to launch a course on podcasting. That's not something she'd ever thought of herself as an expert in, or something that she had thought about teaching before, but she had a podcast for several years. So she's like, well, I can certainly teach people how I do it. That does illustrate the point that I'm trying to get at. I wish I had, again, a better one that might be more, immediately resonant to the situation that you're in right now. But the best advice I can give you is, the answer is in step number 1. If you do that research and really start having conversations with people, I really feel like something's going to start popping out for you that you hadn't thought of before. That people will be expressing something. You're like, you know what, I can help with that. And one way to start too is also, if your industry is in a lot of distress right now, then that's step number 2, the resource, the valuable and relevant resource. Those conversations, if you start talking to people and what they're doing or what they're thinking in the industry and how things are changing, or what people are doing when sales have dried up and stuff, that immediately starts, not only is that discovery for you, but then that's content that you can put together in this guide and start positioning yourself as a leader in this new normal that's starting to unfold. So when there's a huge disruption, that's when new leadership can rise to the top as well. And I don't know, you might be like the most well-renowned design consultant in the world. I'm not, sure. So maybe you don't need that, but, that kind of elevation of your brand. But there's a couple thoughts for you, Linda. Hopefully that helps some. Beyond that, I need to like really dive into it with you for a while and get some more information. But there's, again, in my experience, there are always things that we're overlooking. Great questions. Thank you so much. I'm happy to keep sticking around. I think I've answered all the if there's any questions about the course or the material that we've talked about today, happy to touch on that. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap on up. But yeah, the big takeaways today is, I want you just to be, let me go ahead and turn off my screen share and I'll just put myself back on screen now. Again, if you want the details, it's jasonvanorden.com/LYC. The big takeaways here are, it's okay to sell right now. It's okay to create something and market it. Of course, you need to recognize what's going on right now, and it needs to be relevant to what people are thinking and top of mind. If you think about, you know, I'm sure some of us went to the drugstore to buy, you know, whatever it was, toilet paper or whatever we thought we needed if things were going to lock down. And it's really frustrating if what you need is not there. And those frustrations are out there. And so by you not showing up and figuring out how you can serve those frustrations, it's like leaving the empty shelf on the grocery store, you know, the empty shelf in the grocery store. So it's okay to serve in this way and to sell in this way. And you can do it in a way that is, you know, very helpful to your industry, but at the same time positions you as a leader and creates new income streams for you at the same time. Second takeaway is, those needs and frustrations are out there. If you just put your ear to the ground and every day put a little effort into talking to people, checking out social media, seeing what's being said, and give yourself some brain thinking time, some things will start popping out for you. And then the third big takeaway is, launching a new income stream does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be hard. I think it gets made to sound a lot harder. I mean, yeah, sure, you know, eventually you want to make the whole funnel and automated people coming in and it's going to sell and sell on its own. And yeah, that takes some more time to put together. But if you just want to get to income and prove something out and know you've got something without wasting a lot of time and resources, it doesn't need to be that hard. And it gets made to look a lot harder than it is, I think, because, well, people want, I don't know, usually want to sell you their tool or whatever that's going to make it easier. And that's not to disparage any specific one, but so you can get something out. You find the need. It's okay to serve and sell right now, and then you get something out as simply as you can. Not to repeat myself, but I just want to encourage. I just want to, you know, hopefully everyone gets that encouragement that they can put this stuff into action. So with that, I was just kind of a little bit stalling for time too to see if any other things came in, but I'm not seeing that right now. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and thank you all for joining me today. Hoping that you stay healthy and safe and sane if you can. You know, that gets a little hard too with the you know, cabin fever and such, and not being easy to go outside and whatever. Just hope to, you know, if not in the course, see you online here sometime soon. All right, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.